welcome to today's vlog. I had every intention of doing a sewing vlog today, and I still plan to do some sewing today. However, the lighting in the basement is just, it's atrocious, and I won't torture you like that. I don't think it would be right for me to have you watch an entire video of me sewing in a dark dungeon-like basement. So I'm gonna sew that on my own later today, but I did want to hit you guys with another video, and I figured what better video to give you than book recommendations that are written by Filipino American authors in honor of Filipino American History Month. I'm Filipino American. My parents moved here from the Philippines when they were in their teens, and I grew up in California. Now I live here in Layton, Utah. We moved from Long Beach to Layton, Utah. In Long Beach, there's a very big Filipino community. Here in Layton, it's not so much. There's definitely less diversity here in this town. However, I did find a Filipino restaurant / market that's not too far from my house. It's literally like 10 minutes away from my house. So maybe in the next video, we'll go and visit the Filipino market and I'll show you what I pick up. All of the Filipino ingredients that I like to stock up on. But anyways, in honor of Filipino American History Month, I thought it would be cool to recommend some books to you guys that are by Filipino American authors. I'm always interested to learn about more Filipino American authors. I follow a lot of them on Instagram so that I can kind of keep up to date of when they're coming out with something new. I have several books here. I have a couple children's books. I have some YA recommendations because I don't have the physical books, and then I have some books for like adult reads, or I mean they're not like adult, but like they're just regular fiction books. Actually, I do have one nonfiction as well. I have a financial book, but we'll get into it. I'm gonna start with all of the kids books first, and I'm gonna start with the kids books that I currently have on hand. So the first one that I'm gonna talk about is Buko. So Buko is coconut, and this book is actually written by one of my friends. Her name is Jennifer Estacio. I met her at Sweet Threads in Long Beach on 2nd Street. Sweet Threads was hosting a Filipino story time, and Jennifer was there reading her book that she had just come out with. That's called Buko, and it's a really cute story, and it comes with like reusable stickers so that your kids can like be interactive with the book. The story is about a boy named Joseph who asks his parents about all the different ways that Filipinos use buko. It's very cute. I love all the interactive stickers that come along with it. It also came with a marker because there is a page here that you can connect the dots and like draw the picture here. Actually, she has a second book that's coming out. It's called Ube. It's out for pre-order right now. I'll put a link in the description if you want to go and check it out. And I'll link actually where you can buy both of these, where you can buy all of these books. I love how like interactive the book is. Ellie has unfortunately lost all the stickers. I don't know where any, actually I do know where the stickers are. They're in her room. Where in her room? No idea, but I know they're in her room. And the last 2 pages, she includes 2 recipes that you can use buko with. So that's pretty cool. I've never made adobo with coconut before. So she has a recipe in here for ginataang adobo sa gata. And ginataang means that it's like cooked in coconut milk. But I've never had that version. I think it's just from a different province that like my parents aren't from, since they've never made adobo with coconut milk before. But it sounds like really yummy, and I love coconut milk, so I think I might have to try this out. And I've never made buto before either, but I love that like the recipe's there and now I can like make it. So I might have to try that out sometime. Maybe when my mom's here for Thanksgiving, we'll try that out. The next one that I have is this book here. It's called Isa, Dalawa, Tatlo, Tara, Laro, Tayo. I hope that my pronunciation is good. Mom, comment down below if I pronounced it nicely. My mom watches my videos because she's a supporter. This is a really cute kids book. I believe I purchased this at Sweet Threads in Long Beach. By the way, Sheila, who owns the store, she's Filipino American. So if you want to just support a Filipino American store in general, go to Sweet Threads. It's a kids store that carries a lot of books, a lot of clothing, toys, like anything you can imagine that you would need for your kid and your kid would want, shop there. It's a really cute counting book. So it tells you all the different numbers, or all the numbers 1 through 10 in English as well as in Tagalog, and then it gives you different games from the Philippines. And then at the back, it gives you a list of all of the Filipino games. Oh, hold on. So it gives you all of the Filipino games and how to play them, and even like how to pronounce them too. It has like the different pronunciations for each of them. It says, many traditional Philippine games are so uniquely Filipino, they are not readily translatable into English. The English games on this list only resemble the games featured in our book. So they have like hopscotch and tag, marbles, hacky sack, and then some other ones that are like it says, more uniquely Filipino. Super fun and a good way for your kids to learn 1 through 10 in Tagalog. The next one that I have is Riley the Raccoon Goes to the Philippines. Oh, sorry. This is by Jasmine Arellano. Montreal. I messed that up. Sorry, girl. This is just a story about Riley the Raccoon visiting his friend's family in the Philippines. It tells you, as you go through the story, it gives you some translations of like people that they're talking about. Like it gives you here at the bottom, tells you like what a lola and a lolo and your tita and tito. It tells you like who all of those people are. And then I think there's also there's like phrases in here as well. Again, just like a fun like learning Tagalog, like a very entry-level Tagalog book. And a very cute story with like such cute illustrations as well. There's photos and some information of the 2 Filipino animals that are featured within this book, which is the tarsier and the carabao. So really cute and educational. The last book that I have physically to share is Cora Cooks Pancit. I bought this at Belcanto Books in the Hangout in Long Beach, California. It's where I was living before I was here, so I probably talk about Long Beach way too much. I need to calm down. But this is Cora Cooks Pancit by Dorina K. Lazo Gilmore. And this is just a really cute story of a little girl helping her mom cook pancit. I really love the illustrations in this book. They're a little more like scratchy, but like with like super vibrant colors. And actually there is a YouTube channel called Vooks, Vooks, where they do like read aloud story time basically. And they have a video that features this book in there. So I'll link that too if you're interested in just like watching it and having someone read it to you and your kids, or just to yourself, whoever you want. But look how cute she is. I mean, I feel like she looks like me if my hair was longer. Which is like, I think that's like the whole point, right? Is that you are seeing yourself in media. That's like, this brings me so much joy to see a girl who has like my similar skin tone and my eyes and like my hair color, and she's eating foods that I'm familiar with. It's so nice. Look at the illustrations of the whole family together, sitting at the table and eating together. There's Lolo's pancit recipe in the back. It looks very similar to my mom's. I would say the only thing that we don't really add in are like bamboo shoots. But everything else is the same. And shiitake mushrooms. We don't normally put mushrooms in ours. And then there's a glossary, also a small little glossary of like the different foods that they talk about within this book. This is a really, really cute book. Again, I got it at Belcanto Books in Long Beach. Belcanto Books is also owned by a Filipino American woman. She doesn't just sell like Filipino books. She features a lot of like Filipino and other Asian authors, but she sells a lot of other different books as well. But if you're specifically looking for a place to go that will carry Filipino authors, that's a good bookstore to go to. She has a setup in the Hangout as well as Kubo Long Beach that's in Bixby Knolls. Those are all of like the children's books that I have. Again, I don't have the Ube book because it's only up for pre-order right now. But I'll put a picture here so you can see it, and I'll leave a link down below so you can check it out as well. But I do have 3 YA young adult fiction novels that I wanted to mention. Or I have 2 young adult fiction novels, and then one of them is like a children's fiction. So I'll start with the children's fiction one. This isn't one that I have read, but it's one that I have saved on my library bookmarks so that I can pick it up the next time like I'm needing a book to read. This one's called Hello Universe. It's by Erin Entrada Kelly. This is, I'll give you like the synopsis basically. In one day, 4 lives weave together in unexpected ways. Virgil Salinas is shy and kind-hearted and feels out of place in his crazy about sports family. Valencia Somerset, who is deaf, is smart, brave, and secretly lonely, and she loves everything about nature. Kaori Tanaka is a self-proclaimed psychic whose little sister Jen is always following her around. And Chet Bullins wishes the weird kids would just stop being so different so he can concentrate on basketball. They aren't friends, at least not until Chet pulls a prank that traps Virgil and his pet guinea pig at the bottom of a well. This disaster leads to Kaori, Jen, and Valencia on an epic quest to find missing Virgil. Through luck, smarts, bravery, and a little help from the universe, a rescue is performed. A bully is put in his place, and friendship blooms. It just sounds like a really fun, like adventurous children's fiction book that, you know, is about friendship. And I heard about this book through another person on YouTube, and like she was mentioning a bunch of different Asian authors, just like Asian in general, and she mentioned this one. So I put it on my list to read. The next book that's on my library list is This Is Not a Personal Statement by Tracy Badua. At 16, Perla is the youngest graduating senior of the hyper-competitive Monteverde High, praised and not so quietly bashed as perfect Pearly Perez. Perla knows all the late night social isolation and crushing stress will be worth it when she gets into the college of her and her parents' dreams, Delmont University. Then Perla doesn't get in and her meticulously planned future shatters. In a panic, she forgets her own acceptance letter, and next thing she knows, she's heading to Delmont for real, acceptance or not. Soon, Perla is breaking into dorm rooms, crashing classes, and dodging questions from new friends about her lack of a student ID. Her plan? Gather on the ground intel to beef up her application and reapply spring semester before she's caught. But as her guilty conscience grows and campus security looms large, Perla starts to wonder if her plan will really succeed, and if this dream she's worked for her entire life is something she even wants. Definitely sounds like the biggest Filipino American trope I've ever heard in my entire life. It sounds really good. It sounds really juicy. Again, it's a YA novel. I haven't read the synopsis in a really long time, so I'm like, oh yeah, I probably should pick it up like now, because I probably could burn through it really fast. I think I burned through Better Than the Movies in like 2-3 days. Obviously for me, that's really fast because I have a child and I can't just read throughout the whole day. I have to save my reading until my kid is asleep, or if she's in quiet time or whatever. This one sounds good, and I feel like I need to like read it now. I'm gonna put it on hold now. Oh, it says it's on location at my library too. Oh, I could probably just go and pick this up. There's no holds on it at all. I'm gonna read this now. The next book that I have to recommend is I'd Rather Burn Than Bloom. This is by Shannon C.F. Rogers. I actually saw this book at Kubo Long Beach when I was there, and it was either between this and another book, and I decided to go with the other book instead. But let me read you the synopsis. Packed with voice, I'd Rather Burn Than Bloom is a powerful young adult novel about a Filipino American teen who tries to figure out who she really is in the wake of her mother's death. Some girls call their mother their best friend, Marisol Martin, she could never relate. She and her mom were forever locked in an argument with no beginning and no end. Clothes, church boys, no matter the topic, Marisol always felt there was an unbridgeable gap between them that they were perpetually shouting across, one that she longed to close. But when her mother dies suddenly, Marisol is left with no one to fight against, haunted by all the things that she both said and didn't say. Her dad seems completely lost and, worse, baffled by Marisol's attempts to connect with her mother's memory through her Filipino culture. Her brother Bernie is retreating further and further into himself, and when Marisol sleeps with her best friend's boyfriend, girl, and then punches said best friend in the face, she is left alone with nothing but a burning anger and nowhere for it to go. And Marisol is determined to stay angry. After all, there's a lot to be angry about. Her father, her mother, the world. But as a new friendship begins to develop with someone who might understand, Marisol reluctantly starts to open up to her and the possibility that there's something else on the other side of that anger, something more to who she is and who she could be. Sounds like drama. Sounds like a lot of drama. And it sounds sad too. Obviously, there's a death in the family, so it sounds like this could definitely be really emotional. This one's also available at my library readily now, but I'm not going to put it on hold just yet because I already put the other one on hold. I'm going to wait since I already have this book here, which is the next book that I'm going to talk about, that I'm going to read first. So this is just saved under my bookmarks, and I'll come back to it later when I have the chance. But this book is called Trick Mirror by Gia Tolentino. I talked about this in my last book. I mentioned that me and my sister are going to read this one together. I got this book at Cuba Long Beach. Again, I was deciding between getting I'd Rather Burn Than Bloom and this one, and this is the one that I picked up. So I'll read the back. Gia Tolentino is a peerless voice of her generation, tackling the conflicts, contradictions, and sea changes that define us and our time. In this dazzling New York Times best-selling collection of 9 original essays, written with a rare combination of generosity, sharpness, wit, and fearlessness, she delves into the forces that warp our vision, demonstrating an unparalleled stylistic potency and critical dexterity. Trick Mirror is an enlightening, unforgettable trip through the river of self-delusion that surges just beneath the surface of our lives. In each essay, Tolentino writes about a cultural prism, the rise of the nightmare social internet, the advent of scamming as the definitive millennial ethos, the literary heroine's journey from brave to blank to bitter, the punitive dream of optimization, which insists that everything, including our bodies, should become more efficient and beautiful until we die. Gleaming with Tolentino's sense of humor and capacity to elucidate the impossibly complex in an instant, and marked by her desire to treat the reader with profound honesty, Trick Mirror is an instant classic of the worst decade yet. That's funny. It's less than 300 pages, so I feel like I can go through this pretty fast. I still need to check with my sister if she's already started on it, but it sounds really good and it sounds very intriguing. I like reading books that are compilations of short essays because I feel like you're reading several different stories, which essentially that's what you're doing. You're reading several different stories within one book, so it feels like it's faster to get through. The next one that I'll talk about is this one here. This is Like a Mother by Angela Garbs. I read this in 2020 when I was pregnant with Ellie. At the time I was reading, when I was pregnant, I had the What to Expect When You're Expecting book. I feel like everybody has that pregnancy book. And this was just a different perspective on pregnancy. Like a Mother, a feminist journey through the science and culture of pregnancy. So that's what I liked about this pregnancy book. It wasn't more so all the different stages of your trimester and all that kind of stuff, but more stories from her and other people that she had interviewed, or other friends of hers, of how they were experiencing their pregnancy or lack thereof. Like most first-time mothers, Angela Garbs was filled with questions when she became pregnant, but as she soon discovered, it's not easy to find satisfying answers. Doctors cautiously quote statistics Online sources provide conflicting and often inaccurate data, and even the most trusted books offer information with a heavy dose of judgment. To educate herself, she embarked on an intensive journey of exploration, diving into the scientific mysteries and cultural attitudes that surround motherhood to find answers to questions that had only previously been given in the form of advice about what women ought to do, rather than allowing them the freedom to choose the right path for themselves. In Like a Mother, Garbs offers an incisive and insightful look at pregnancy and new motherhood, addressing the ways women change physically, emotionally, and physiologically. She elucidates the latest research on pregnancy and provides historical context for the outdated beliefs and assumptions that inform traditional guidelines, and advise with the curiosity of a journalist, the perspective of a feminist, and the intimacy of a mother. The result is a visceral, eye-opening look at what's really happening during these 9 life-altering months, and an urgent case for why people need better care, resources, and support. Your head hurts?
Yeah.
Let me see. Do you want me to hold you?
Yeah.
What's wrong?
My head hurts.
Do you want something to eat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want a peanut butter and jelly?
Yeah. It's orange juice.
And orange juice?
Yeah.
Okay, we can have that. Come on, let's go get that. The ouchies? They're going away, yeah. Your head doesn't hurt anymore because you're eating your sandwich? Good. But you're not? Anyways, so I had just let my best friend borrow this. I sent it to her so she could read it before she had her second baby. And normally, like most people, when you're pregnant for the first time, you pick up what to expect when you're expecting, and you do a lot of research, you watch a bunch of YouTube videos. Sometimes it's really hard to find stories that like you relate to when you're pregnant. And I feel like this was such a relatable book. Pregnancy and motherhood can be a really lonely experience sometimes. So it's always nice to hear stories from other people who are literally having the same experience as you. I think a lot of times you hear a lot about the people who are just like having the best time ever. It's the best experience ever. It's so great. Or it's just the worst. And like, there's always like the two opposite experiences on the spectrum, and those are the ones you hear about. And it's like, well, what about all the sticky stuff that's in between? Like, who's that? It's this. This is the one that you need. Because it just, like it says, it's like non-judgmental. Nothing. It doesn't feel like she's trying to like shove a specific kind of like lifestyle at you. It's very matter of fact, and like this is her experience. These are like the experiences of the people that she like interviewed for this book and stuff. So I definitely recommend it. If you're looking for a pregnancy book that is not your typical pregnancy book, something that is going to feel a little bit more connected with other people, this is the one to get. I'm going to send this to my sister who's having her baby he's expected to come in like January. So I'm going to ship this to my sister so that she could read it, because it's her first pregnancy as well. So highly, highly recommend. I cannot recommend this enough. So the last book that I have to recommend is Money Out Loud: All the Financial Stuff No One Taught Us by Berna Anat. I also picked this one up at Kubo Long Beach when I was there because I'm definitely someone who needs to get my finances in order. And she really makes it seem very like relatable. I feel like there's a lot of finance people out there, but coming from the perspective of a Filipino American who most likely had the same upbringing as me, where money was not necessarily like something that we openly talked about. There's an education that needs to happen, and this is who I'm gonna get it from. I also follow her on TikTok, and she's very funny. And this book, her writing is very funny. She's very relatable, and there are some like tasks that she has in here for you to do so that you can kind of like figure out. She basically unpacks your history with money and how to overcome your way of thinking of how money is. This is basically the conversation that we should have had when we were younger, but we're having it now, and that's fine. She talks about how to start budgeting, saving, and investing without all the confusing finance ease, is what she calls it, finance ease. How our traumas shape our most toxic money habits, and how to create new patterns. How to navigate a garbage system that has excluded marginalized folks for too long, and how to use money to fund your biggest dreams and make the world suck less. No more keeping our money on mute. It's time to grab the mic. It seems like a more like fun finance book to read, something that is easier to digest and is also coming from a perspective of somebody that is more relatable to me. I feel like that's what drew me to purchasing this book. I've started it already. You can see that I have like my bookmark in it, but I haven't picked it up in a while. I should probably like pick it back up. But I've been so focused on like reading my, like going through all of my other books that I've been kind of like putting this off. So I probably should put this by my nightstand so that I can just like pick it up every now and again. But yeah, so those are all the books that I have to recommend. And I know there are a ton more out there that I didn't mention. So if you have any personal recommendations of Filipino authors that you want to share, leave them in the comments down below so that we can all learn about them. Thanks so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.